Calling the meeting to order. I propose to add the following item to the agenda, becoming item number 1.4 of this regular meeting pursuant to California Government Code Section 54954.2, Section B, Section 2, because there is a need for immediate action which came to the attention of the board after the agenda was prepared. In order to add this item, it must receive a 2/3 vote of the members of the Board of Trustees. I need a motion to approve the declaration of need for fully qualified educators.
I move the item.
Who's going to second it? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, the motion carries.
Before the closed session, I had read a comment about our student representatives being in the room and the requirement for masking while they're here. So we have kept them outside, and I'm going to ask that people put a mask on, or you may step out while they're doing their presentation that they do each board meeting. So we're going to pause while people either put masks on or step outside while the students do their presentation.
Can we come back in, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. As soon as the students leave, you're welcome to come back in.
America is freedom. This is America. This isn't very free. No mask.
This is segregation.
So we have to delay the meeting until people will comply because
We're leaving, but it's still segregation.
thank you. I appreciate those that put their masks on and stayed.
We still have one more person that's not.
Still have a gentleman here.
Max, can you close the door just so that there we go.
Okay. Student Representative, Granite Hills High School, Ella Houseman.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Nelson, and attendees. My name is Ella Houseman, your 2021-2022 Granite Hills GC president. I am already so stoked about the school year starting back up and just the overall vibe on campus.
Mask up. Sorry, honey. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Okay, and just the overall vibe on campus is looking up. In fact, a group of students recently came together and created a multimedia club where they record and post news on activities, sports, and interview students. Bringing up sports, our current teams are starting off great. Volleyball being 2-2, tennis 2-0, cross country starting their first race this Saturday, water polo season being 2 weeks out, and let's not forget about our mighty Cougar football team. Starting the season off with 2-0, not only that, but they have even gained more support with more and more people attending the games than past years. We have our homecoming game this Friday against Colton. Leading up to that, we have our spirit days every day being posted around school. On our ASB Instagram, it has resulted in great participation, including the ASB account gaining more followers every day. We are almost at 1K followers. Also, we have our outdoor homecoming game September 18th. People seem to be excited to have homecoming outdoors, cooler air than in the gym, more opportunity for creativity, and safer for everybody. Although there are a lot of students decided to be back, many still may be suffering from the effects of COVID. We now have put more focus on mental and academic health, and it has become a top priority at Granite. A way in which Granite is addressing this need is by providing the student body with an on-site licensed health professional so they may have access to therapeutic services and resources. Students are bringing more spirit to the games. Tennis are doing great. The homecoming game is tomorrow. Overall, students have been excited to be back. Thank you all for your time this evening, and always remember, maroon and gray lead the way.
Thank you so much, Ella. Apple Valley High School, Daniel Oriala.
Good evening, esteemed board members. The 2021-2022 school year is off to a great start at Apple Valley High School. Students are excited about returning to a normal school year, and during the past, clubs and extracurricular activities are returned to the campus. During the past month, over 15 clubs have returned to our campus. The fall sports season has officially started with our football, volleyball, cross country, and girls tennis team working hard to bring pride to the school. We are happy to announce the return of the Bell game and many other exciting events that we have planned, such as our annual color run and powder puff game. We are working hard to maintain school spirit and make the school a safe environment that guarantees our students' success. We thank you for everything that you have done to ensure that students could come back to a regular school year. And remember, Sun Devil pride is contagious.
Time for union representatives. California School Employees Association, CSEA.
Do you want to excuse the students if they'd like to go?
Student representative, if you would like to go, you are free to go do so today. Thank you.
And I just want to thank both of you. And I loved that you high-fived him or knuckled him on his way back. That's what we love to see across town.
Well done.
Okay. We
They can let the rest of the audience.
we can let them back in. Keep going. Sure. Keep going. Reports from the union representatives. CSEA Employees Association. Do you have no reports from them? Any report from AVUTA? Thank you. AVUTA.
I can't understand a word you said.
I don't know what to do with the mic.
You're fine. Just go.
Make sure they speak to the mic. Yeah, some of us can't hear.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the school board, district representatives, parents, students, and fellow colleagues. I'm here today as a representative of VUDA to share some of our yays and nays related to the start of the school year. I'm going to gloss over most of the nays. It's already been addressed in a previous speech. It is a new year in a new, I hope not, normal that we are all navigating, and I'm certain the district office, especially Mr. Conrad, has a clear understanding of VUDA's feelings on the grace being offered and asked for. A small nay, I'm going to skip my small nay. Thankfully, the start of the 2021-22 school year is full of yays. Our VUDA president started a thread on August 4th on our Facebook page, asking teachers about their first day back with students. So many comments about being thankful to be back with students, crying tears of joy. Cute stories of students who didn't quite remember how to student, one telling a teacher, "You forgot to hand me my lunch pail." But overall, excited to be back with students face to face, and an awareness that students have a lot to offer the classroom setting now that we've gotten them back there. I recently told someone, the students in my class retain information despite themselves. And I've learned a lot about other departments as the students make connections between the different department strategies, such as HIPPO, and the English department CERs or ACE writing strategies. We even had a discussion about the difference in how the H in hippo does actually apply to English. We're currently exploring inquiry questions from science and maybe some CERs along with English language ACEs. Overall, the yays always will outweigh the nays and make being a teacher in Apple Valley Unified School District and being a member of AVUDA an amazing experience. Thank you.
Closed session reports. The clerk of the board will report on any action taken in closed session.
Okay. The first item that the board took action on in closed session was B4, public employee appointment, resignation, retirement, reduction. On a motion by Bender, second by Opara, the Board of Trustees approved the recommendation of the superintendent naming Sabrina Ick of the Dean of Students of Phoenix Academy effective 9/3 of 21 on a 5-0 vote. Congratulations. I'm sorry, I got your names wrong. I got the same kind of name, nobody gets it right, I'm sorry. Item number 2 that the board took action on is B5, conference with labor negotiator, agency negotiator Dustin Conrad, employee organization, California Teachers Association. On a motion by Opara and second by Nunez, the Board of Trustees approved the addition of language to Article 19, compensation, to now include Article 19F, supplemental retirement benefit. 1, commencing with eligible retirees at the end of 2021-2022 contract year, the district shall provide a supplemental retirement health and welfare plan benefit to those who qualify. Eligible retirees will receive a 1-year health and welfare contribution of $10,000 towards their plan for every 4 full-time years of district service provided to the AVUSD, with no proration for any number of years between those 4-year increments. The maximum duration of benefits is 7 years or until the age of Medicare eligibility, whichever occurs first. Eligible retiree is defined using the following criteria. A, employee as a full-time employee for Apple Valley Unified School District prior to July 1st, 2015, and has maintained continuous employment, which shall include leaves provided in Article 15 with AVUSD and retirees after May 26th, 2022. D, has received an annual salary based on placement of column 4, step 22 or higher on the certificated salary schedule in the full-time year of service immediately preceding STRS retirement, and retirees under STRS by 8/31 following the final day of district services. F, qualified retirees that move outside the geographic coverage area of district health and welfare plans shall participate in the health reimbursement arrangement, providing the same $10,000 annual cap for those years of eligibility. 2, all full-time permanent unit members shall be eligible to enroll in 403B plan with a district match of up to $1,500 annually. Enrollment in this plan may begin on or after 7/1 of 21 and disqualifies a unit member from eligibility in the retiree health and welfare benefit in item 1 above. So on a motion by Opara and a second by Nunez, the board unanimously approved B5. B6, conference with labor negotiator, agency negotiator Dustin Conrad, employee organization, California School Employee Association. On a motion by Opara and a second by Nunez, the Board of Trustees approved the memorandum of understanding dated August 10th, 2021 regarding a minimum wage and compensation. The compensation agreement is as follows. 1% salary increase on the salary schedule effective July 1st, 2021. An increase of $650 to the health and welfare cap effective July 1st, 2021. CSEA bargaining and unit members employed as of July 1st, 2021 shall receive a one-time off-schedule salary payment of 5% of their annual salary of the September 30th, 2021 pay warrant. On a vote of 5-0, the motion passed for B6. B4, public employee appointment, resignation, retirement. On a motion by So, second by Okapara, the Board of Trustees approved the teacher consent form for employee 6363, effective 7/1/2021 through 10/1/2021. On a motion of vote of 5-0. And that's it for closed session.
Thank you. There'll be a presentation. No, there's adoption of the agenda. The board may approve the agenda as is or add and/or pull items from the consent agenda for discussion and/or action. We need a motion.
I'll move item 5.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We have a discussion information, presentation on unaudited actuals financial report for 2020-2021 by Mr. Schulenberg.
Thank you very much, Ms. Okpara. If the board could turn their attention to the screen, I apologize, audience, it is behind you, if you'd like to follow along. This is a quick recap of our last year budget cycle, our 2021, as we close the books. I'd like to remind the board that this budget cycle actually started before the pandemic in January of 2020, when Governor Newsom proposed the state budget for the 2021 budget cycle. Great revenue estimates at that time, great funding, but you know what happened in March, unfortunately, to the entire state of California. The May revised, it was really the battle of, are we going to get a budget cut or are we going to have our cash deferred? Luckily, the legislature won that battle in June with an on-time budget, and we did not get cut, we did not get an increase, but they deferred all of our cash, which creates other problems. Fortunately, with the budget condition of the state, those deferrals have now been rescinded, and we have received the cash we were supposed to receive for last year's budget cycle. Just a quick reminder as we move through the budget cycle, some of the reporting periods. Back in October, I was in front of the board with a financial update as of October 31st, presented that in December. Our second interim update is the financials as of January 31st. And then in May, we talk estimated actuals, which establishes the starting point for the current year budget that we're in. Now that we've closed the books with the unaudited actuals, but I do want to remind the board, these are preliminary numbers until the auditors audit our books and make any appropriate adjustments. But this will establish the updated beginning balance for the current year, which we will bring forth in our first interim when I'm in front of you in December talking about those financials. So a quick recap, last year we had $187.1 million in revenue, and you see the breakdown. LCFF sources from the state is our major source of revenue at 72% of our revenue, and our federal and other state revenue at 13 and 12% and 3% for local, totaling that $187 million. On the expenditure side, we expensed a total of $176.2 million, and you'll see the three main areas for those expenses are certificated salaries, classified salaries, and employee benefits. Typically, school districts run between 80 and 85% of their budget on those three categories. This particular year, our percentage dropped below 80 because of the supplemental federal and state funding we received during the pandemic to mitigate the effects of the pandemic. That really didn't go toward a lot of personnel expenses, but it went toward a lot of stuff. Here's some specific numbers in our general fund unaudited actuals. I'll take your attention over to the right-hand side, the combined column. You'll see that we had an excess of about $10.8 million on our budget prior to a transfer out of about 2.6. So our combined ending fund balance did increase about 8.2 million. The slight majority of that you'll see in the restricted column is about $4.5 million on the restricted side. But that does give us, keep in mind, this particular ending fund balance and the expenses as we move into this year will be adjusted based on the agreements with our bargaining units that you just ratified this evening. The components on our unrestricted side are revolving cash. Of course, we have to set aside $40,000. That's an emergency cash fund for emergency checks that we need to issue. Stores corresponds to the inventory we have on hand in our warehouse of mostly supplies, both school supplies and cleaning supplies. Prepaid expenditures are expenditures that we prepaid in the last year that weren't due until this year. And we have 18.7 for a reserve for economic uncertainties. And then the number at the bottom is our minimum required reserve for economic uncertainties, which is 3% of total expenditures and transfers out. On our restricted side of our budget, we have about a $6.3 million ending fund balance, and you'll see the components there. A restricted lottery is funds solely intended for the purchase of instructional materials. We have $50,000 remaining in a classified professional development block grant, which is planned to be expensed during the current year when that money expires. We have $1.4 million carryover in our routine restricted maintenance account. We have $4.2 million in our expanded learning opportunities grant program that was created by AB 86, which funded our previous year's summer school. We'll fund some after-school programs this year and our summer school for summer of '22. And then we have a little bit of the SB 117 COVID funds. Those do not expire, and those were some of the funds that Governor Newsom gave out to school districts at the initial onset of the pandemic. We have several other funds we operate, different programs in our district. I'll just go through these fairly quickly. You'll see Fund 11 is our adult education fund. We have an ending fund balance of about $261,000. Fund 12 is our preschool program. We do have a very healthy ending fund balance in that program. Fund 13, food services. I would like to point out that we did have a $1.8 million deficit. We had $1.8 million more in expenses than we did in revenue. As we continued to feed families in the community during the pandemic, we paid all of our nutrition service workers, some of them overtime, to conduct those feedings and handing out all those meals with a decreased reimbursement. The state and the feds have now come forward with some increase in the reimbursements in our current year, and we continue to feed all of our students free breakfast and free lunch on a daily basis as part of the federal community eligibility provision. We did make a contribution to Fund 13 in the amount of $1.2 million using some of our federal ESSER funding to cover a portion of that. But we do have an ending fund balance of $1.8 million after that slight deficit. Fund 14 is deferred maintenance. The board in previous years has committed those funds to major maintenance projects. This is like HVAC, roof replacement, parking lot replacements. Fund 25 is our developer fees. We continue to collect those revenues on both residential and commercial development within the district. Fund 40 is our special reserve for capital outlay. We make a transfer into that account each year. You'll see it about $1.4 million. That's previous redevelopment agency revenues that are now distributed by the county to participating local educational agencies. Those are for facilities projects only. They're earmarked and required to be used for construction projects. And Fund 51 is a bond interest and redemption. That fund is on our books, and as I've mentioned previous to the board, we have no control over that. That is a fund that is held and administered by the county that was established as part of our Measure S school bond from, I believe, 2004. Finally, what we do with this information, of course, I mentioned we'll make adjustments to our current year budget at first interim. We update our assumptions constantly through the year, the LCFF revenue, our bargaining unit agreements, our LCAP goals and action steps, and of course, COVID expenses and any continued staffing needs that we may have. Our auditors will be in district the first week of October to complete their audit of the 2021 budget and all the financial transactions. Thank you. Any questions?
I do have one. Our Measure S capital funds, when will the bonds expire? The reason for the question is that we anticipate we have to look at not bonds, but also fund construction, for example, stadium and
Thank you, Mr. So. The Measure S bonds, I do not know that date off the top of my head, but I will research that and get that to the board for their information.
Mr. Schellenberger, will you restate the question?
Yes, absolutely. I'm sorry. The question was, with our Measure S facility bonds, when do those bonds expire? Many of you, or if you're an Apple Valley resident within the school district, on your annual property tax bill will see a school bond. That is our Measure S bond, which was passed by the voters in 2004. I will research that question and get you your answer, Mr. So. Thank you.
Thank you. Emergency substitute teaching permit for prospective teachers by Christine Dupree.
Good evening, board members. I'm here to give you an update on our current substitute teacher recruitment efforts. So our current reality, and folks, this will be on the screen as well behind you. For our approximately 650 teachers, we have about 215 substitute teachers on the books. Not all of them currently working due to either expired credentials, just a various set of reasons for themselves. So that leaves us with about 83 subs that are actively showing up to work on a regular basis. Not quite enough to meet the need. So as you can see, this is our typical amount of vacancies that we have seen these first 4 weeks of the school year. 83 subs is not quite cutting it, given especially on that any given day. Go ahead, Matt. We are only seeing about 35 to 45 of our substitutes accepting a position that day. Again, various reasons. We have some subs that are only available to work 3 days a week. They can't pick up the job. But we are incredibly appreciative of those 83 subs that we do get to see on a regular basis. Now, given that that does give us some vacancies left on our campuses, if there's any bright spot in this, it's been the fact that so many folks have stepped up to help out where they were needed. Whether it's certificated staff that don't normally, their normal position is not within a classroom, they're helping to cover our vacancies. But that help, I also want to mention, is not limited to just our certificated folks. Our classified staff have been champs. We've got bus drivers that are helping out with lunchtime playground duty. We've got nutrition service workers that are helping with after-school dismissal. So it's just really amazing to see that that core value of service is alive and well with our Apple Valley employees. So what we have done so far in order to get ourselves some more subs, on your current HR report, we are asking to increase the salary temporarily for this school year from a daily rate of $150 up to $180, and a long-term substitute rate from $165 up to $200 a day. This is consistent with other districts in our area, increasing this rate for this school year. We have also begun a program of preferred resident substitute teachers. These are subs who have agreed to show up on a daily basis to a school site. They have committed to us that they will be there for the remainder of the school year. So they are earning $250 per school day. We had a little bit of hope when the governor released an executive order waiving the 180-day waiting period for recent retirees, but that was not an option for us due to our employees participating in the supplemental retirement program. So what we are aiming to do now is implement the emergency substitute teaching permit for prospective teachers. The permit has been around for quite some time, but has not been in use by Apple Valley. So what this does is allows college students to become substitute teachers. They can sub same limits as a general substitute teacher, 30 days in a general education classroom for any one particular teacher, 20 days if it's a special ed classroom. But the difference for them is they may only work a maximum of 90 school days per year because the intent is that they are still enrolled in college themselves. This is only good for 1 year. They can renew it one time, but when they renew it, they still have to show active participation in college. They have to have earned units along the way.
requirements for this credential must have a minimum of 90 semester units, with 30 of those units being upper division. They have to be currently enrolled in a university, must be 4-year. They also need to satisfy the basic skills requirement, which we have gotten some relief in that, as far as the CBEST is no longer the only way to meet that requirement. There's some transcript analysis that we can do, passing scores on AP exams, SAT scores. So we have a variety of options to get these substitutes qualified. They also still need to complete an application, including fingerprinting. And then there's typically a $100 application processing fee, but as part of the executive order, that fee has been waived until the end of next school year. So we are hopeful that this will give us a much bigger candidate pool. It puts them as being qualified substitute. And I have some personal attachment to this one. This permit is actually how I got started in education. And so it's really exciting to see that it's going to help us not only fill those vacancies in the classroom, but it actually strengthens our applicant pool, because then when we go to hire, if we're in a spot that we're hiring intern or emergency credentialed teachers, we're still being able to find some who have that substitute classroom experience. Any questions? That is all I have for you.
I do.
Yeah.
The first question that I have for you is the fact that a college student can serve as a teacher. The challenge that I have with that is what safeguards do you have in place for that college student when they don't meet the standard in managing the student's behavior or the student educational requirement in the classroom, but they are substitute teachers and you're putting them in front of our kids?
Right. The intent for this is that they are, we're aiming at those who are in elementary teacher preparation programs.
Okay.
So the hope is that this is not a career choice for them to stay as a substitute, but their intention is to become a teacher. And so that's kind of protected itself in the basic skills requirement that they need to meet, because they have to hit core subject areas in order to qualify for that basic skills piece. And then, yeah, kind of in the same spot as a regular sub.
My next question is, when you place a substitute teacher in a classroom with children, do you have a letter you send to the parents to let them know that a substitute teacher is now the teacher of record for their child for that period or not?
They're not becoming a teacher of record at all. This is just
Okay.
completely just subs. And that's safeguarded in that they can't sub any more than 30 days for one particular teacher.
Okay, thank you.
The only other thing I would like Kristen to address is the fact that the numbers of absences for our staff has increased each week that we've been in session.
Yeah.
That is not a normal trend for us. Do you want to address what the
Yeah,
issue
we're
is?
normally, on any given year, we typically, or any given day, we're able to fill our vacancies at a 70 to 80%, and we've been hitting about a 40 to 45% fill rate these last 2 weeks.
And the issue for people being out is not just they don't want to be at work.
Yeah, no, and it's a variety. We always have absences anyway due to life events and surgeries and other medical needs, but we do have a lot of folks that are out on quarantine concerns. And so it is not a fill rate by choice. A lot of these are, we have asked them to be at home.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Thank you.
Kylie, do we have any public comments?
We do. We have one public comment on one topic. We have 10 public comments on the other topic. The first 7 that were submitted will meet the 20-minute maximum. The other 3 will have the opportunity to submit their comments per the instructions in the back of the room. and that you are able to read aloud regarding how to submit those comments to be distributed and publicly posted.
Thank you.
So one topic, the next subtopics, these three can submit electronically.
As provided on our public comments card, speakers are requested to limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. If more than one person wishes to speak on the same topic, subsequent speakers should limit their remarks to new information only. Public comments shall be limited to a maximum of 20 minutes per item. In a situation where we have additional public comments and have exceeded the 20-minute maximum time per item, members of our community will be able to submit electronic public comments to Kylie_Cordell, CAUDELL, at AVUSD.org by Tuesday, September 7, 2021, at 12 p.m. These public comments will be publicly posted and distributed to all members of the Board of Trustees. An information card with the information is available at the sign-in table. Joshua Mollett. Is Joshua here? Joshua Mollett. Okay. You don't see him? Okay. Okay. And before we start, as a warning, inappropriate conduct, disturbance, or willful interruption of any board meeting shall not be permitted. Persistence by an individual or group shall be grounds for the chair to terminate the privilege of addressing the meeting. The board may remove disruptive individuals and order the room cleared if necessary. Erin Dorio.
No, it's not hard to hear.
Hello, everyone. My name is Erin Diorio. I'd like to address the Apple Valley Board and all the citizens and parents here. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I've been doing one type of counseling or therapy or another for the last 25 years, and I've also been a resident of Apple Valley for 25 years. I'd really like to address masks and the effect that they have on our basic communication with each other. I think you all might know that body language is over half of the way that we communicate with each other. And certainly our facial expressions are even greater than that. I just was talking with a man back there that said when I'm speaking with someone that has a mask on, I can't tell if they're smiling at me or sticking out their tongue or what they're doing. I have no idea. So, I think we've all seen, we've walked into a restaurant or someplace where everyone's got their screens up, and we all know the effects of what's happened to our interactions from just having screens in our life. A lot of us don't have family dinners anymore. We don't come together, and there's a real loss of joy and happiness because of that. I can't think of anything more tragic than taking away a child's smile. Everybody here loves their kids, and it's valuable for us to see them smile. It's important for us to, to see each other smile. What do you do with a baby? The first thing you do with a baby is make faces and silly expressions, and you teach them to mirror each other. I wonder what kind of damage we're doing to our children when we are avoiding that kind of interaction. We're not letting them mirror us. We're not letting them develop in the way that they're supposed to. We can't tell how detrimental that's going to be in our future and for those who are going to be running our country later on. Another aspect of this is just, you can find statistics on either side, but I've seen plenty that say masks do absolutely nothing. and it also inhibits our need for oxygen. I don't know about you, but I like to breathe air. And there's been plenty of examples of kids that can't compete in sports and do other things because they're not receiving enough oxygen into their system. So, I just want to be an advocate for freedom for choice, for going back to the things that are really important to us in this country. They've always said marijuana is the gateway drug to harder drugs. I think masks are the gateway drug, the gateway, period, to control, force, and basically a lot of forms of tyranny that I don't think anybody really wants. If we don't stand up for our rights, we're going to lose them. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa Wetzel.
That's probably good. All right. Hi, my name is Melissa Wetzel. I'm with Stand Up San Bernardino County, and I would like to address the unethical COVID compliance happening within this school district. Some of you know me because I'm in your emails and that of all of my representatives on all levels of government. I came and protested. By the way, I listened to the last meeting before I came here. I came and protested all this a year ago at this location and addressed this board a year ago, and the consensus has generally been that the district has no authority and is just taking orders as it pertains to COVID. A year ago, I asked that all of you come out and speak as citizens at our county board of supervisors meetings to address some of these issues. I've been speaking at those meetings for over a year and have never seen any of you there. Perhaps you will consider showing up now, a year later, as things have become more dire. You say you advocate for our children, and on maybe some level you do, and yet you continue to participate in this compliance that claims to be health-oriented, yet there are many studies that claim masking is harmful and baseless on many levels. I will provide you all with some of that information via email following this meeting. If you believe this is wrong and are still complying, you are part of the problem. And you are the enemies of our children. I don't care who you sent a letter to, because I probably sent them a letter too. If you care about our kids and about freedom on any level, you must make yourself visible and become vocal. I know I have. Are you worried about losing your jobs if you stop complying? Well, my husband's already lost his job over defying COVID compliance, because at some point, ethics and morality and human rights must become more important than money and rules. Have you seen what is happening to the healthcare workers, last year's heroes, this year's unemployed? Will you participate when they try to mandate the injection everywhere as you watch your family and friends become second-class citizens? As segregation finds its way back into this country, into this facility, as you all saw today? It is happening for many of us already. For those reasons and more, I have removed my children from the public school system, and we're finding new ways to live as we are quickly becoming barred from normal participation in society. But I will continue to fight shoulder to shoulder with those brave enough to take a stand for humanity. Trinae, I heard you were not a fan of the sign, "Where's Trinae?" At one of our local protests. And if that's the case, then please show up and stand in solidarity with us. Thank you.
Erica Lancaster.
Hi, I'm a parent of one student now in this district. I had two last time he was here and spoke. Now I have one. Maybe next time I will have zero, depending on how things go here. You said last time that you were advocating for our children, but nothing has changed. And now you guys are waiting to reevaluate with the California Department of Health, but that means you're just complying. What have you done to advocate to end this nonsense No, we're pretending at this point. Everyone is just complying. If you're afraid to lose your jobs, half of the military is about to lose their jobs because they're not going to comply with an experimental vaccine. There's not going to be time for advocacy pretty soon. Our country is falling apart at the seams. And the only silver lining I can see is that the failure of leadership is being driven out from the dark and forced into the light. And this movement you're seeing is not going away. We are not going away. We are only growing. And things are going to get ugly in this country. I understand that you did not plan on being here for this time of our country and of the world. But here you are, and now is the time to take a stand and sacrifice something. We just had 13 U.S. servicemen sacrifice their lives for our freedom, and you guys will forsake our children's health for your self-preservation. That has nothing to do with anything else here except our freedom. That's what we care about, our freedom of choice to wear a mask or to not. We do not want to comply, and we won't comply anymore. And I want answers as to what you have done that is tangible, not meeting once a month with a group. What have you done? Have you allocated funds in your budget for parents that now have to pay for homeschool because they will not force their children to wear masks? Have you done anything? Have you got on the phone and made contact with schools that have managed to push back against the masks? And my other concern, besides the fact that I found out that 2 teachers in this district, Mary Ann Shoup, who was 2 of my children's teacher, by the way, at Vanguard, has signed a petition to go against the school rules and teach critical race theory to our children in this district. What is being done about that? There is one other teacher that also signed a petition. Jacqueline Ray, I don't know her, but there are 2 teachers that are on the petition that they signed. I will email you that article and that petition. The other thing is the COVID testing on site. Is this laying the groundwork for mandated testing of our students? Are we going to have access to that data? Will our children be tested without our consent? And what's going to happen when they're tested and they test positive?
Thank you.
Thank you.
June Kapal. June.
Hello. Hi, my name is June Crapel. I have 3 children, 2 of which have graduated from Apple Valley Unified School District and 1 that is currently a student. First of all, I do want to say thank you that schools are open. Having our kids in person learning is a blessing. I've been a part of Apple Valley Unified School District for 20 years, and this is my very first time attending a school board meeting, and the first time I've ever felt the need to. My concern tonight is masking of our children as well. So here are 2 facts that we know, even though this topic is such an emotional topic. I think in this instance, we do need to kind of stick to the facts. The first key fact that we know is that children have a low mortality rate for COVID. Last year, 42 million kids contracted COVID and only 0.008 died. As compared to the flu in the year 2018-19, roughly 480 kids died. So the flu actually had a higher mortality rate for kids, and never once did I hear the district ask, suggest, or mandate my kids to wear a mask. Number 2, kids are not super spreaders. Many recent studies published, including an Israel study, a North Carolina study, even found out that 90,000 students, there was not one single student-teacher transmission of COVID. And there are many more studies out there proving these facts. So what are we exactly protecting them from, is what I'm asking, okay? And has the district even considered the negative effects of these masks? Many doctors are now producing studies. One even mainstream doctor, Dr. McCary, he was actually a proponent of masks, is now saying that it's cruel to mask children, okay? And he's the one who's listing things that could go wrong. fogging up the glasses where you can't see with learning, severe acne problems, vectors for pathogens, mass exasperate anxiety, lower oxygen, interfere with learning. They affect communication in the classroom, facial expressions, human connection. And I would like to add that masks perpetuate fear of a virus that possesses little to no threat at all to these kids. Dr. McCary also stated that the adverse developmental effects of requiring a mask for a few weeks are probably minor. We can't say that with any confidence when the practice stretches out for months or years. In a statement made by Dr. Fauci himself, August 2021, he is quoted saying, hopefully masks won't have any lasting negative impact on them, hopefully. So what I propose is we allow for mask choice. We should give students and parents the right to decide what is best for their children. We can't wait for the CDC or the CDPH to update its guidelines and catch up to what the science again is saying, like they did for outdoor masking. Our kids have suffered long enough. They have bared a burden they were never, ever meant to bear. I am sincerely asking Apple Valley Unified District to follow Lucerne Unified School District's lead and petition the state to get county
Time is up.
control to
Thank
decide
you.
for our district what is best for our students.
time is
Thank
up.
you.
Loretta Sanchez. Loretta Sanchez. Let's add one more. Okay. It's not here. Sandra Fuller. Fodder. Was that Fuller or Fodder? Fodder, sorry.
Sandra Footer. Hey, everyone. I'm a grandmother now. I had my children graduate from these districts 20 years ago, but now I've got grandchildren in your district. And now, for the first time, just like her, I'm here because I'm looking at my grandchildren in their future. It's too much. But I want to say, let them breathe. But in addition to breathing, I'm here on behalf of my granddaughter, who is among the students' population that is hearing impaired. And the first speaker spoke and said, she spoke about we need to see, we need to mirror. We have mirror neurons in our brain. Those are there for a reason. We're inhibiting those mirror neurons in our children when they can't see the faces of their teachers and their fellow students. We need to see each other. But the masks are obstructing my daughter's ability to learn. But her need to breathe takes precedence. The new studies are showing that what basic common sense science should have already produced. Considering how limited the risk of COVID-19 are to the children, forcing them to wear face masks is criminal. Mandates are not laws. We need to, and we need you to grow a backbone for our children. When you stand up for them, others will follow. Be on the right side of history. The JAMA Pediatrics, a top-rated monthly journal published by the AMA, found wearing face masks increased the amount of carbon dioxide inhaled at unhealthy levels. The science is absolutely clear. The only thing that's unclear is this anti-scientific mandate over us and our children, which place our government in tyrannical mode rather than its proposed purpose of working for us, we the people. Subsequently, we are developing an unhealthy society, and especially within our children, by lockdowns, face masks, and the absence of necessary activities. But what makes all of this utterly heinous is that this is not being done out of ignorance. It must be intentional, as I hope all will understand after I conclude, and this should make every parent, grandparent, and conscientious American citizen outraged. Mandating children to wear face masks for a long period of time while at school and participating in other activities is an unprecedented move, one that was put into place despite no research showing the practice is safe. It's simply not the case, because the act of mask wearing comes with great risks of adverse effects. Now that the pandemic is more than a year behind us, evidence is mounting, showing that the use of face masks in children is causing more harm than good. And we won't know fully how harmful until possibly
Your
years down
time's
the
up.
road.
Thank you. Audrey Burrow.
Hi there. How's it going? Yeah. So I used to be a teacher in the school district, never went to a board meeting, but I felt that God needed me here tonight, as I'm sure most of you felt that too. And I feel that we are missing from our leaders common sense, decency, and facts. First of all, I don't know if parents know that I would ask for the box of masks that were given to your teacher in your classroom, and I would love for you guys to read the label on that. Because directly on the label, it says, this does not prevent you from contracting communicable diseases from any virus. So why on God's earth are we putting our kids in masks? I hope we get an answer for that. And what about the ridiculous quarantine? How are our kids supposed to learn if they have to quarantine for 5, 10 days? How are teachers supposed to come back and teach those kids? They are missing out on everything. Education is a joke now. I want to know, will you guys take the liability for any harm these teachers and students experience as a result of these long periods of masks? There's almost no, as somebody else mentioned, almost no risk to our kids at all. 4.2 million tested positive since it's been a year and a half with COVID. That's a total of 0.008% that have died. However, like the other woman mentioned, the flu, CDC estimates 480 kids died in the 2018-19 season. That's more than the year and a half of COVID. Did any of you suggest wearing a mask? No, nobody did. At some point, we have to look at the science and use our brains, especially those of us that call us educators. This is all child abuse. And a little known fact, look it up, please. OSHA also states that you cannot force a person to wear something that has no purpose. Would you put your child in a helmet to protect them from meteors? No, that's asinine. We would not do that. You are creating hypochondriacs and creating fear of the world around us for our poor kids. Not to mention the psychological effects of the masks, not seeing your teacher's mouth and anyone's full expression. And are there any long-term studies for these effects? No. So are you liable for that then? So when the actual science is not in favor of masking, then why do it? You do not mask healthy people, period. That is something called tyranny. So what does it come down to? Funding? Your paychecks? What? You are up there to support your community, yet you kowtow like every other politician. Your hands are not tied. You are on a precipice right now. It's time to do the right thing, even if you get flack for it. All it takes for evil to triumph is for good men and women to do nothing. Thank you, and I sincerely pray that you take all things into deep consideration tonight.
Lorraine Lombardi.
Hi, first of all, thanks for holding this so that we could all say
Need to get
our
to the
piece.
mic, please. Get closer to the
A little
mic.
closer? That
Yes.
better? Okay. My name's Lorraine. I'm a nurse practitioner. I've lived in Apple Valley for the last 24 years. I've been in all 3 of our local hospitals for the last 15 years in various departments. I have 2 children at the Lewis Center, which I realize is not part of this, but I wanted to be out here and support fellow parents and teachers. I really don't have much to add. You guys are very thorough. You've covered everything. But I think it is important, again, to speak to the facts and the science. We're not seeing children in the hospital, okay? Unless they have underlying health conditions, which those people need to be protected just as our elderly and our immunocompromised patients. Vaccines are available to everybody for free. And if you're concerned, you're more than happy to get 1 or 2 or 3, and you can wear 2 and 3 and 4 masks if you like. This is not a disease for our children to bear the brunt of. When our kids went back to school, as most parents probably recognize, there was a major shift in their demeanor, in their mood, in their sleep habits, eating, exercise. It is critical. They're happy to be back in school. They realize that the sacrifice of wearing a mask to be back in school is to some degree worth it, but we as parents know better for them. They are not as educated, they are not as experienced as we are. And this is creating generational change that you are going to see, God knows for how long. And for what? Study after study shows children have a robust immune system, particularly against viral disease. You kept them out of schools, not you particularly, us out of schools for 18 months. You will see some of the sickest children coming out of this pandemic because they have no natural exposure to these viruses and bacteria that we are designed to evolve with. So for those reasons, I am asking that you please take a stand for the future of our kids, their health, their mental well-being, and for parents and teachers alike. And from someone who has an oath to first do no harm, that is why I'm here tonight, because it is my job, whether I'm in the hospital or out of it, to speak on behalf of those who can't and protect those who can't. Thank you.
For the following people, please be sure you submit your statement to Kylie.
Kylie can go to one more. She's
We had one.
I traded that.
Oh, she already did.
Oh,
Okay.
I added one, so I have two left. I have Marie Savitsky and Marjorie Solis. If you submit your statement to Kylie, and they will have it to us. Superintendent's comments.
I first want to say thank you to the parents and the community members that have come out and spoken and asked what we're going to do about it. I know it's hard to get up at the podium. It's not something that people are comfortable doing, but I know that you have to have the ability to speak your mind, get your point across, and we have heard what you have to say. If I spent my days letting you know what advocacy I did, I would not be doing the rest of my job. So I will let you know that I have communicated with the State Superintendent of Public Instruction. I continue to advocate on the behalf of what you are asking for. I don't get to make the decision, nor does this board. There is a belief that we can veto, that we can say no. I will tell you that the comment about Trinae standing with a sign, where are you, was based on, I called that parent, the one that got up and spoke and asked where I had been. And I did call her. I spent an hour on the phone with her. And she told me that the parents had been offended that I had sent a response to their email at the startup of school as a group email, that I didn't take the time to individually respond to each email. What I explained to her was, we had a new law, two mandates, as well as independent study that we were trying to open school. Hindsight, I could have definitely delayed and requested a delay to school. I don't believe that would have changed any of the outcomes that have happened. So my comment was, in a thread of social media, there was an accusation that she had contacted me 3 times via email separately, and I had not even responded to her. After talking to her, she explained that that wasn't the case, that her husband had emailed me and that I had responded. I told her that I was apologetic for making anybody feel that their email individually was not taken seriously, and that I was trying to get to the work of opening the schools. So as far as the masking, it is a mandate. It has a criminal accusation if we don't follow it. And I'm more than willing to get you the government code for that and share that. We'll post it. You can have access to it. But there are some ramifications for educators. So continuing to sit here and tell us is fine. I'm good with that because it's streamed. People get to see that you are here advocating on behalf. The second thing I would like to address is the quarantining of students. Currently, our numbers are approximately 180 students that have been positive COVID tests since the 22 days we've started school.
Go ahead.
So my response regarding data. All of you know the data. You know that very few children die of this disease. However, we have a student that died last December in Apple Valley Unified School District. They're not a number. They are a child. And if it were your child, you would be horribly offended that somebody would reduce them to a number. So I just want to keep pointing out that we did live through that with that family. We are aware of what happened. And so with great concern for the loss of any child, whether it's childhood cancer, whether it's the flu, whether it is COVID, I will continue.
Will you please, where's the police? You just escort her out. Will you go on, please?
Thank you. So I just would like to appreciate you to continue doing this. One, that you put your masks on when our students came in. I want them to have the ability to come to these board meetings and do what they have been charged to do as ASB students. One of them ran into me at a school site the other day and said he was fearful. He showed up at the last one. He didn't want to come without knowing what the process was going to be. I don't want any student to walk into this room and be intimidated by adults. As far as the startup, we've been in school for 22 days, just over a month.
Where is our police? Where are they?
This is earmarking for you guys standing up here, live streaming it for kids to watch it.
Okay, if we want to hold this meeting and be civil about it, I suggest that we take our turns. Right now, the superintendent is speaking, and we are going to give her the time to speak. Thank you.
I wanted to acknowledge all those that have done extra duty work to support our students being in classrooms, our principals and APs who have gone in and substituted classrooms, our directors and assistant superintendents who've been out wiping tables at lunch so that our kids are in school. It's been a heavy lift. There are a lot of absences, and we are tied by the OSHA requirements that our teachers have different requirements than our students under quarantine. So I just want to acknowledge the extra work that people have done in the first 22 days. Back to school nights were adjusted, and they were either done virtually or outside. And I know they were well attended, gotten lots of comments by parents, and they've been given a new way for the future. And then I'd like to finish with thanking Mrs. Popick for being here tonight, and congratulations on your new position at Phoenix Academy. I know that Mrs. White is extremely excited to have you on campus. Thank you.
Thank you. Christopher, not yet. I'm sorry.
Why are they wearing N95 masks? That's an only approved mask by.
We are not going to entertain questions from the floor. Thank you. Christopher Nunez, do you have any statement?
Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. We appreciate you joining us, and those that spoke, we know that it takes a lot to get up and to speak your mind, so we appreciate it very much. And we appreciate you being here. If this is your first meeting, we look forward to seeing you at others and encourage you to get involved in all of the business of the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. So. Mrs. So.
Go ahead, listen.
We make it small now, but we will unite and grow in numbers.
Mrs.
I'm
So.
scared because you guys are scared. Look, y'all take your masks off. It's all show. Like, what are you guys doing? Seriously, these are.
Why is our police standing there?
And you guys are making this a regular law. A mandate is not a law. choose the color.
Suggestion. Make sure you go to the
Mrs. So. Mrs. So.
This is all talk. It's all about what you're going to do. You need to get us kids involved. Denver, we're walking out of school. That's what we have.
Thank you.
We are going to go into analysis.
Maria, regain control. Regain control now.
We're not taking their paper. Mind you, somebody is handing us papers. Will you give that to the clerk? We do not take papers from the audience.
Those people can do something together.
That's who you hand all papers to. You don't hand me papers.
Let's get a little bit more.
Wilson, so your comments, go ahead and make comments and continue.
Mr. So, do you have anything to say? Yes, Mr. So's.
No, Madam President, I don't have any comment.
What is his mask on? This is exactly what the problem is. This is bullshit. Let's just go to, we can go to close.
It was from a previous
I
meeting.
move we go to.
It was from the
close.
previous meeting. It was from the previous
I move that we
meeting.
go to close and finish the rest of our meeting.
Go ahead and give her your contact information and I will contact you.
Yes, we're going to close.
I understand, ma'am.
Go back to close.
the rest of the agenda.
Okay, now go back through, ask if anybody has comments.
Mr. So, do you have any comments?
No, I don't have any.
Mr. Bender, do you have comments?
No comment.
Mr. Raleigh, do you have comments?
Nothing. I do want to agendize something in the future, but I guess I'll wait till next go around when we come back. Just a future agenda item. Oh,
okay.
Good now?
Yes, it's good now.
Oh, okay. I wanted to agendize, maybe we can get a report on the stadium, what it would take, what's the process, since we do have the land now, and I had some inquiries from some people, just a report on what the next steps will be
Sure,
on the stadium for Granite.
absolutely. Mr. Schulenberg will put something together with what we have.
No rush, doesn't have to be by next meeting, but just sometime in the future.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Public hearing, pupil textbook and instructional material compliance, K-12, 2020-2022 school year. No, I don't have any comments. Mr. Schulenberg. It's you.
It's just a public hearing, so.
Yes, this is an annual hearing conducted to let the public have an opportunity to make comment. We post that we have sufficient instructional materials at this time. It's required by this certain number of weeks into school. We're early. We have had our Williams visit from the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools to the 2 school sites that received them. We were missing just a few Math 1 books that were just tough to find. They're on order, and that's going to be an adoption that gets updated. So we are in compliance except for just that handful of books that have been ordered and are en route.
Well, the county superintendent is going to send a letter.
Yes, you will receive that letter. But this hearing is also part of our requirement to satisfy the sufficiency of instructional materials.
Education Code requires 60119 and CCR Title 5, Section 9531C requires the governing board of any local agency receiving instructional material funds from any state source to hold a public hearing on the sufficiency of textbooks or instructional materials by the end of the 8th week of school. Are there any questions or comments from members of the board regarding the pupil textbook and instructional materials compliance K-12 2021-2022 school year? I now open the public hearing regarding the pupil textbook and instructional material compliance K-12 2021-2022 school year for public comments at 7:34 p.m. Any comments? Hearing no further public comments, I now close the public hearing for pupil textbook and instructional material compliance K-12 2021-2022 school year, and ends at 7:35. Discussion action session. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees discuss and take action on the following items.
On closed session, we're ready.
No, we're going to, your section, it says.
Actually,
approve-
Madam President, this would have been something we would have discussed in closed session. We waited to do it for the second closed session. This is not a readout.
So we go back to close.
We can move item I-1 to after closed session so that if you have questions regarding the discipline,
Okay.
they are both ARs, administrative.
Okay, so I move that we go back to closed session. Is that it?
You can move on to, you can skip, you could make a motion to table discussion action item I-1 and move to discussion, I think that would be fair to say that we can go into closed again, or you can do the consent agenda. and then go to closed and come back and finish I.
Let's go to close. Yeah, let's go. Move it
It is recommended that the Board of Trustees consider approving a number of agenda items as a consent list. Consent items are routine in nature and can be enacted in one motion without further discussion. This procedure conserves meeting time for a full discussion of significant issues. Consent items to be approved in one motion are items 1 through 32.
I move we approve items 1 through 32 on consent.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Can I get a motion to,
I need a motion at least
before you go to closed?
table
Yes.
item I-1.
We still have a motion on the table for consent.
Yeah, we have to
So-
approve it.
Oh, sorry, you
Finish the
do.
consent.
Okay, so if you'll do the vote, then you can table.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay,
I apologize, Madam President.
okay, then we are going to table item I of the discussion action session until we come out from the close. Any opposed to that?
No.
No.
You need a
Okay.
motion
I
and
need a
then a
motion.
second,
I'll move that we table it.
and then a second.
Could I have a second? Second by Bender.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay,
So now you can,
so we can go to close.
you can, yes.
We're going back to close. Discussion action section. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees discuss and take action on the following items. Approve the recommendation of the administrative hearing chairperson effective immediately on annual review AR number 1 to 2021-2022. I need a motion.
I'll move the item.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Annual review AR number 2, 2021-2022. I need a motion.
Move the item.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approve the certificated and classified personnel actions as listed. I need a motion.
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approve the requested leaves as noted. I need a motion.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approve the declaration of need for fully qualified educators. Before we take a vote, Renee Nelson would like to explain and address the need for immediate action.
This is the item that you added to the agenda. It has to do with our ability to hire under an emergency credential, and it was missed on the agenda, so we wanted to make sure that it was handled so that we could move forward with these hires.
Any questions?
No.
I need a motion.
Move it.
I second that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And then I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Actually, Ms.
Oh, you have comments?
Well, you have to let everybody know that there was no action taken in closed session, which there's no script for that.
Yeah, we didn't do that.
And then if we can.
There's no action taken in closed session. Superintendent's comments.
I appreciate the board working with us over the issues, and I just wanted to be sure everybody was aware that there is an update to our website with a COVID cases that are spanning our district. They're inclusive of our staff and our students over a 14-day cycle and updated once a week. Likewise, this week, something we should be celebrating is that we had our student peers program here at the district office. They're here tomorrow as well, being trained. And at a time where there's a lot of trauma, these students are trained to assist their peers. And one of the best things that is the outcome is they are active listeners. And so they're there to support, and we appreciate the work that goes into this, the staff that supports it. And then hopefully next board meeting, we will be in conference room A with our new setup, with the streaming still available, but I wanted it to be acknowledged that we so appreciate the work that our IT department has done to support this, and Granite Hills High School, who's allowed us to use the equipment that students use on a daily basis in the Great Academy. So we're thrilled to get that equipment back to them permanently, and have made the transition to stream our own. Thank you.
Mr. Nunez, do you have any comments?
No comments tonight, thank you.
Mrs. So,
I don't have any.
Mr. Bender,
Not at this time.
Mr. Raleigh,
No, thank you.
I don't have any comments. Mr. Raleigh, you had some closing future items you mentioned?
Yeah, we already did it, put it on the agenda.
Okay. All right, we have the signing of documents. There being no further business to come before the Board of Trustees, it is recommended that the meeting be adjourned. I need a motion.
So move. Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.